Hi, Professor. My name is Rohan Asundi, and today I will be teaching you about the Sioux Indians. And I hope you enjoy it. I will teach you about the culture, the music, and the different stories told among the community of the Sioux Indians. The Sioux Indians occupied the states that are now known as North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. Since water was not very abundant in the Plains region, the Sioux Indians were always on the go in search of water. As a result, many of the tribes were nomadic because they did not have a constant place to settle. For living arrangements, the Sioux Indians would live in teepees made out of animal skin, typically deer, and wooden poles. This was something easy to set up and also tear down whenever needed. In general, the Native Americans don't like to waste anything, so when the men went out to hunt, all parts of the animal were used for food, clothing, and medicine. For example, the deer skin would be used to cover the woman's torso, as well as make leggings for the men and women. For shoes, the women would use the softer fur from the fox or the mink for the inner lining of the shoe. That way, it would be soft. Among all Native Americans, music is a medium of communication and contact with the supernatural, and since there are a lot of varied activities in the life, there are songs for every occasion. Before each ceremonial dance, the woman would build a circular arena where the dancers will perform. In the center of the circular arena, there is a tree where the people use as a center point for praying, and on one of the branches, a bison's head is hung. One of the most important dances that the Sioux Indians dance to is called the Sun Dance. This dance will take place on the first day of summer and would last for 4 days. Only males would be allowed to partake in this ceremony. Some of the tribes, such as the Lakota, do flesh sacrifices by the dancers who suffer for the healing and welfare of others and of the earth. For many of the ceremonial dances, and especially the sun dance, the regalia would have needed to be a little more decorative and elaborate. Some of the robes were made out of the softer fur animals such as the fox or the mink. The hides would be painted to accentuate their affiliation with their home tribe or to show rank among the common people. The males usually had some kind of feather attached to it, varying from hawks, owls, woodpeckers, and also the famous eagle. The instruments that were found in this region include the powwow drum, the flute, bells, jingles, and the gourd rattle. The most two significant instruments in the sun dance are called the powwow drum and the gourd rattle. The powwow drum is a type of membranophone usually made out of the deer hide and produces a loud and hollow sound. The gourd rattle is a type of idiophone usually made out of the gourd fruit, wood, and the seeds that would produce a rattling noise. The different colors that were painted and the feathers that were worn all signified different things. A black painted robe signified death, red signified power, and white signified purity. The feathers also differed. The eagle feather was superior to all other feathers as it had magical and balancing powers, and it was a translator between the people and the gods. The other birds also meant a great deal. For example, the hawk symbolized courage, which was needed for when the men went hunting. The owl feather symbolized wisdom, and the woodpecker's feather was worn when the men went out to battle to enhance their evasiveness and protection. As I mentioned before, the Native Americans do not like to waste anything. Since most of the Sioux Indian tribes live a nomadic lifestyle, the women could not always have food readily available. As a result, they had to make sure that none of the yield was left behind when it was time to harvest the crops. Let me tell you a story where all the Indian women have since garnered their crop very carefully so that the succulent food product should not even to the last small nubbin be neglected or wasted, and thus displease the great mystery. One day, this woman was picking the corn, and as she started to leave, she heard a quiet, crying voice that sounded like a small child, and it called out to her, "Oh, do not leave me. Do not go away without me." After searching for over an hour, she found a very sad ear of corn. The moral of the story is to make sure no food is wasted and to use all available resources until they have been diminished. Before learning about the Sioux Indians, I did not know much about them in all aspects. I knew that they danced all the time, but I did not realize how many dances and songs that they knew. These nomadic people lived a very simple life, but it was filled with a rich tradition and history that I can now appreciate after learning about it. Everyone has a story, we just need to be open minded.